it's 5:01. Go ahead and call the meeting, the November 20th, 2025 Ascent Classical Academy, South Carolina Board meeting. Call to order. All right, for roll call, Caleb Green.
Here.
Brendan Kelly.
Here.
Dennis Getter.
Here.
Mary Frances Folger.
Here.
Michael Murphy.
Here.
Mark Schuler.
Here.
Excellent. Roll call is complete. All right. I'll read the mission and the vision real quick. The mission, Ascent Classical Academies, to train the minds and improve the hearts of young people through a classical, content-rich education in the liberal arts and sciences, with instruction in the principles of moral character and civic virtue in an orderly and disciplined environment. The vision, Ascent Classical Academies, develops the moral and intellectual skills, habits, and virtues on which independent, responsible, and joyful lives are built, in the firm belief that such lives are the basis for a free and flourishing republic. All right, I think you can post a flag. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance real quick.
Mr. You have a flag in your background, if we could use yours.
Yes, we'll go ahead and use mine. I'm going to turn and face the flag. You'll join me. I pledge
Allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, we need to adopt the agenda for tonight. Any changes or adjustments?
Dennis Getter, I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you,
Mary
Dennis.
Frances Folger, I'll second the motion.
All right. Adopt the agenda. Caleb Green.
Yes.
Brendan Kelly.
Yes.
Dennis Getter.
Yes.
Mr. Reed, you're muted.
Folger.
Yes.
Michael Murphy.
Yes.
Mark Schuler.
Yes.
Thank you all. The agenda has been adopted. The next item on the agenda is to approve the October 21st, 2025 meeting minutes.
I would like to move that we adopt or that we approve the minutes from the last meeting. Michael Murphy.
Dennis Getter, second.
All right. Any discussion? Just as a reminder for the audience, so a couple activities on the in the meeting minutes for October 21st where we tabled a previous board election. The chair appointed members to an ad hoc election committee, and the chair, yours truly, was elected to the chair position. All right, we'll go down the roll call. Caleb Green.
Here.
Do you approve of the agenda? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Brendan Kelly.
Yes.
Dennis Getter.
Yes.
Mary Frances Folger.
Yes.
Michael Murphy.
Yes.
And Mark Schuler.
I approve. Yes.
Excellent. Next item on the consent is the consent agenda. We have
Go ahead. Sorry. On the consent agenda, it's ratifying with the entire board the family handbook. The board last year did appoint a committee to go through and authorize the committee to create family handbook. So this is bringing it back for everybody. Again, that's been posted on the school's website and is in the board book. Also, the South Carolina legislature passed a new requirement that charter schools or all schools have to live stream and post their meetings. So this is adopting a policy. The authorizer adopted a policy recently, and our policy at least has to align with theirs, if not be more restrictive. So our policy does take the applicable language out of the authorizer's policy.
Thank you, Derek.
Mr. Chair, I have a point of order actually on the family handbook.
Okay, go ahead.
I simply want to point out, and it's a really precise point, but We recently approved a public comment procedure that's appended to today's agenda, and it is not exactly like what we have in the family handbook. In particular, the public comment procedures talk about having a maximum of 2 minutes to address the board, and the family handbook talks about no more than 3. Now, I don't mean to stall this entire meeting for that, but I know that we have members of the public who really use that feature and that opportunity that we offer, and I want to make sure we're very clear about what our procedures are. I don't know if we can simply incorporate the public comment procedure, which I think we've all approved as a board, by reference into the family handbook. That would make it a simple fix, but we would need to update and edit that section. It appears in SE 33.0 if anybody's interested.
Thank you. Mr. Ketter, you also had a comment or a question?
No, I was going to move I'll let Mary Frances make the motion for approval because she can incorporate her request for a modification in the same motion.
So real quick, just point of order to Director Boulder's point of order. If there's any comments or questions about any of the policy or anything in the consent agenda, we just pull it off and put it in business. So,
Okay.
Are you okay if we just pull it off and move it to business item 5A or
8A? I move that we pull the ratification
and you can just say pull it off and you don't need a motion.
Okay, I'm pulling it off.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Mary Frances. The action in front of us then is we need a motion to approve the consent agenda,
which just consists of now B.
Yes, as amended.
Dennis Getter, so moved.
I'll second that motion. All right. Do a quick roll call. Caleb.
Yes.
Brendan Kelly.
Yes.
Dennis Getter.
Yes.
Mary Frances Bolger.
Yes.
Michael Murphy.
Yes.
Mark Schuler.
Yes.
I guess I need to start including myself. I am a member of the board, so Mark Dillon is a yes too. All right. Thank you. Consent agenda as amended passes. All right. Next item on the agenda is for public comment. I'm going to hold off. I think everybody's aware of the public comments. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to the executive director for lining up members for public comment.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, are there any ruled out of the public comment procedures that's on the published agenda you want to go over, or we can start right into it if you'd like?
I'm ready to go ahead and proceed. Thank you.
Okay, great. Our first public comment, when we call your name, please, in Zoom, please raise your hand so we can find you as participant list and enable you just to be able to address the board. Our first public comment is Wendy Cottrell.
Hello?
All right. Just please
Can you
go
hear
ahead.
me? Yep. Okay. Good evening. I wanted to thank Mr. Dillon for speaking with me and my husband earlier this week. I also appreciate the audited financial statements being posted on the school's website and that public comment has been moved to before the executive session on the agenda. Since the last board meeting, one parent was finally provided with a copy of the bylaws and graciously shared them. I was initially very confused as to why bylaws were not posted on the school's website, as they are usually very innocuous documents. When I saw Article 2 of the bylaws, the alarm bells started going off. Article 2 names Ascent Classical Foundation as the sole member of the corporation. Ascent Classical Foundation is run by Derek Schuler. This was Derek's attempt to prevent a repeat of what happened at the Colorado schools. I sent an email to Mike Sinclair outlining my concerns with the bylaws, mainly that the contract between the board and ACA cannot be an arm's length transaction if another organization run by Derek Schuler is the member of the corporation and has veto power over almost any action the board might take. I received a response from Mr. Sinclair that these bylaws were not the bylaws that had been approved by Erskine. These bylaws were effective 1/18/24. At that time, Ascent South Carolina was governed by the charter committee that consisted of Dennis Getter, Mark Schuler, and Ashley Hyman. Were these bylaws approved by the charter committee, or were they unilaterally changed by Derek? If they were approved by the charter committee, did Mark Schuler abstain from voting? There are no board meeting agendas or minutes posted before 2/9/24. This leads me to believe that these bylaws were approved by no one. I respectfully ask that the approved bylaws be posted on the school's website. Shifting gears slightly, I know that the board has been provided with several letters from former teachers and staff documenting their experience as employees of ACA. I find it appalling that teachers did not have curriculum, but ACA was paid over $378,000 for management fees. Is this the best use of taxpayer funds? Did ACA hire and retain a qualified headmaster or certified teachers? Did they develop a conservative budget, or did they overpromise and underdeliver on enrollment 2 years in a row and blame it on campus leadership? Have they found us a permanent location?
Thanks, Ms. Cottrell. Our next public comment is Ms. Elizabeth Knight. All right, Ms.
Hello.
Knight, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Knight. I am speaking regarding the Fort Mill campus and specifically statements made by ACA leadership at the October 14th parent meeting regarding the lawsuit that the Fort Mill campus's interim headmaster is involved in. Parents of ACA students have reached out to the attorney for the plaintiffs of the lawsuit to request their input to statements that leadership made about the lawsuit at the parent meeting.
Just a real quick point of order. Mr. Dillon, this is, again, involving litigation and a person, and I believe this may go against the public comment procedure.
Okay, let's Mrs. Knight, go ahead and continue.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the meeting, the interim headmaster said that the state lawsuit was tossed out. According to the lawyer, this statement is not true. When more clients came forward and it was clear there were more federal claims, the plaintiffs themselves chose to voluntarily dismiss the state lawsuit and refile it in federal court. No lack of merit caused the suit to be tossed out at the state level. The interim headmaster also told parents that she has already been deposed for the federal lawsuit. According to the lawyer, she has not yet been deposed, but she is highly expected to be. At the parent meeting, ACA leadership emphasized the fact that the interim headmaster is not named as a defendant in the federal lawsuit. According to the plaintiff's lawyer, the only reason she is not a defendant herself is because all of her questionable actions appear to have been done in her official capacity as the school's director. There is currently a backlog in federal court, and the lawyer expects it to be a while before the case is resolved. The interim headmaster is expected to be involved in the lawsuit no matter how long it takes. This is yet another instance of where ACA leadership presents a set of facts that do not agree with what others have experienced or can confirm. I once again question the judgment of hiring someone in this situation for any position at the school, much less appointing them as interim headmaster. The Ascent Classical Academy website states that they instruct, quote, in the principles of moral character and civic virtue, end quote. Tell me, if the defendants are found guilty in this lawsuit, how can you reconcile these claimed ideals with the position your interim headmaster will be in? And I would also add, how dare you tell me I cannot speak about this in a meeting when you are subjecting our children to someone in this situation every day? Thank
you, Ms. Knight. Our next comment is Dr. Althoff. Dr. Althoff, go ahead.
All right. Can everyone hear me now? All right. I just, again, Dr. Althoff, I began this year with Ascent Classical, just hired as a special ed teacher. I very much can empathize with some of the parents' frustration and recognize that maybe I know things were not ideal at the beginning of this year, but I do believe that the leadership has enacted necessary change, which speaks to things moving forward in a very positive way. Working with Mrs. Magnet has been, I think, a very positive thing for the school, as she is working on building teamwork amongst the staff, and we are moving again to, I think, move the school in the right direction. And so I'm very thankful for, in fact, Mrs. Magnet's leadership, and I look forward to continuing working with her. I think one of the biggest challenges right now currently is I do think parents have a right to question certain things, but I also feel that some of the noise that is continuing with some of the families that have chosen to leave, unfortunately at this point, at times is not always accurate in the way I've heard the staff being spoken of, which the staff, in fact, I think are very appreciative of Mrs. Magnet and are happy, again, in their place and the support that is now being provided by the leadership. Just within the past couple weeks, I was asked to join the leadership team. And again, I appreciate having a voice to try to help to make some improvements, again, at the school. And again, I would speak to, I think at this point, we are in a situation where probably one of the biggest detractors of the school is the noise that some parents still continue to make, which is detrimental to existing or current students who have stayed, current families that want to stay, and in fact are still trying to be enticed to leave the school. So while I think the staff has come together to try to make things better under Mrs. Magnet's leadership, probably again, one of the biggest challenges is that outside noise, which does not accurately reflect where the staff is currently. Thank you.
Dr. Walthall. Our next public comment, Mr. Will Green. Mr. Green, you should be go.
Everybody hear me? All right, cool deal. My name is William Green. I, like Dr. Althoff, joined Ascent Classical Academy this year. I am the upper school history teacher. I started this year as the 5th grade teacher. To be completely honest, October 14th, when the news came out, it felt like a gut punch. I'm going to be honest with you. I was one of the biggest supporters of Mr. Mullins, and I didn't know what direction we were looking at. But then came the transition period, and I said it to Mr. Schuler, and I'll say it to all of you. We could have very quickly have found ourselves in a situation where it was like last year. But instead, the staff rallied around a leader that was willing to right the ship, willing to take on the really everything that was going on. If it wasn't for Mrs. Magnet, we really could have found ourselves in a very bad situation. But I will tell you that she has done everything in her power, and I personally do not know any staff that are really truthfully upset about what's going on in this moment. We're just trying to put our heads down and power through the storm and do what we have to do. The storm's over. We've made it through. Now the biggest thing is we keep growing and we keep moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Our next comment is Ms. Holland. Ms. Holland, go ahead. Let's try that again. Ms. Holland, are you there? Ms. Holland says that you're muted on your end.
Can you hear me now?
We got you. Yep.
Famous words. Sorry. Thank you. I'd like to raise 3 points where parents remain concerned about transparency and compliance. First, FOIA compliance. Several parents have submitted FOIA requests and received preliminary fee estimates from around $125 to $1,200 without the itemized fee breakdowns required by South Carolina law. FOIA requires public bodies to provide an itemized estimate before work begins and to keep a publicly available schedule of fees. What's currently posted on the board document site does not list the fee rates. Second, the election process. The election procedure posted online conflicts with the process outlined in the school's own bylaws. I understand that what was posted is an excerpt from the charter application, but what was requested was the actual governing policy. And until the board reconciles the discrepancy, parents cannot be confident elections will be conducted according to the governing documents. Finally, board independence and governing structure. The bylaws contain several red flags about the board's ability to operate independently. They give the CMO authority over board composition, nomination and election process, and the approval and removal of board members, placing significant governance power outside of the board itself. Beyond that, it appears one current board member may also be serving or preparing to serve as a campus headmaster. That creates inherent conflict an employee overseen by the CMO, participating in decisions the board is supposed to independently oversee. And another individual who's been extremely helpful to the school has resigned from the board but continues voting, which is not consistent with standard charter governance practice. Taken together with the unusually broad CMO authority in the bylaws, these issues raise important questions about what safeguards exist to ensure true board independence, prevent undue influence, and maintain public trust. I hope for the board's response, and thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Owen. Our next public comment, Ms. Kudo. Ms. Kudo, you should be enabled.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Kudo, and I'm the first grade teacher at Ascent Classical. I wanted to join you all tonight and speak of my experience as a teacher at the school. While the change in administration has rattled some, I am here to say that Mrs. Magnette has taken up a difficult position with grace, love, and kindness. She has led myself and other teachers into more structured and positive days, as well as helping keep the students accountable and happy. Mrs. Magnette, along with the other administrators who have stepped up in our time of need, have been doing incredible jobs. The school feels more cohesive, and we are introducing new ideas for the students and staff alike. I hope we can all lean into this positivity for the good of our school and community. Give us grace and give us a chance to show how good we are and how much better we will get. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ms. Kudo. Our next speaker is Mr. Felix. And Ms. Ghost, if you're there, go ahead.
Okay, I had 2 children attending the school, and they would come home describing how other children in their class were unruly and violent on a daily basis, but would never get in trouble due to the school apparently not wanting to kick anyone out. My wife and I pulled our children out of the school during the walkout and did not feel like it was safe to send our children back, especially with the headmaster switch. In the meantime, we've needed to restructure our lives to begin homeschooling our children while balancing 2 careers. Both children said they did not feel safe to return to ACA, and this preceded when the school brought back children who had been previously forced to withdraw by the previous headmaster, apparently to compensate for the dropping attendance. Now the average class size is 16, down from close to 30, and we continue to hear about how the problem with violence is getting worse with reduced class sizes, including one disturbing incident by one of the 3 children that our youngest daughter was most afraid of. This is not surprising when you consider the cultural problem of the school keeping children who would be expelled almost anywhere else while the overall student population plummets. At the private school we went to for 3 years prior to Ascent, there was one fight consisting of one punch being thrown, and that student was expelled immediately. Meanwhile, many of the remaining students are from families who either plan to pull their children out at the end of the semester or who feel trapped due to having nowhere else to go. It's not a surprise that the South Carolina report card's site for schools rates Ascent with a score of 38, rating them school performance is in jeopardy of not meeting the criteria to ensure all students meet the profile of the South Carolina graduate. This is not a teacher problem and not necessarily a headmaster problem, since the CMO treats headmasters like kindling that are eventually used up. This CMO, after all, went through 5 headmasters in 6 years at their first campus and 2 headmasters in less than 2 years at Fort Mill. More so than faculty, this is a policy problem at the administrative CMO level, and the board needs to decide if they want the school or if they want the ACA CMO. But if they try to have both, then they'll lose.
All right, our last public comment is Aaron DeHaven. If Mr. DeHaven's on, please raise your hand. Mr. DeHaven, if you're on, please raise your hand. All right, I don't have one. Mr. Jarrett, that concludes our public comment for today.
Hey, thanks, Thanks, Derek. I would like to go ahead and I think Mrs. Cottrell was cut off and Mr. Felix was cut off. So I'm going to go ahead and grant them another 1 minute for both Mrs. Cottrell and Mr. Felix. So if Mrs. Cottrell's still out there, please, you have the floor.
Dylan, I was just about done, but the tail end was it. Have they found us a permanent location? Did they file all required reports for grants on time, or have we been placed on corrective action plans or lost out on grant money altogether? Thank you.
Okay, same with Mr. Felix.
Mr. Felix, if you're on, please raise your hand again. And Mr. I don't see Mr. Felix on.
Okay. Thank you very much, Derek. Next item on the agenda is board training and development.
Yep, for this, again, typically, and I appreciate Mr. Dillon's conversations. I think one of the things that we've discussed, now that we have a full complement of board members, is getting back into a normal rhythm on board development and help everybody understand the requirements moving forward and expectations. So for this, just for this meeting, I want to talk about just charter school funding at a very high level, and then go over the grievance process and FOIA process that we've all heard a lot about. That are also in the parent handbook. So first of all, I think everybody's seen, kind of heard different things about how the school's funded or control of funds. Want to kind of talk through how that happens. School funding every month is, again, based on different enrollment counts throughout the year. We have a 5-day count, a 45-day count, and a 135-day count, at which point our monthly funding is adjusted. Usually toward the end of the month, we receive funding from Erskine, our authorizer, and all of those funds come into a bank account owned and controlled by Ascent Classical South Carolina. This board, so just be clear, it comes into a school's bank account. At no time does Ascent, my organization, the operator, have control of the funds. The way that we're compensated for the work we do is through our negotiated management fee. So there's, we don't necessarily control purse strings on what we decide to go out to the campus for the needs of the campus. I think what's really important as well is just understanding, and I think last year we had, some conversations and education on this from last year. Charter schools, we're just like your families. You receive pay every month, and you need to prioritize what you're going to pay for that month. Charter schools are funded the same way. We don't open the year with, being funded up front for everything we need for the entire year. So we don't open with $3 million in the bank. And this is just relevant because last year, again, we saw this where we need to buy curriculum. We need to pay insurance, and there's a lot of expenses that are due up front. And then every month as we receive more money or grant reimbursements, we buy the next tranche of stuff that's on our list. And I think last year we heard, from several times from teachers, they don't have everything they need. Besides the fact, actually, most of it was on campus and just wasn't distributed. We didn't necessarily buy everything for the second half of the year at the beginning of the year. Things like classroom libraries. I know we had, in November, we received money to start buying classroom libraries. So again, just want to make sure everybody, since we have so many new people on the board, aware that we do have to phase how we acquire things to the benefit of the school and the students. Any questions on that note before I kind of continue how the funding goes?
No questions, just a comment, Derek. Yeah, thank you for that. I know
I'll continue with the process. I'm not done, but I'll take the question if anybody has any at that point, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for that, and appreciate that your insights on that.
Yep.
Hey, Derek, this is Mark. So one of the things we heard early on when this stuff started was the fact that people were being told in the administration that the board wasn't releasing funds to go buy things that the school needed, and that wasn't true. Those funds were sent from Erskine to Ascent, and they were used appropriately per the budget. So the board had limited view of what was being doled out to the school, but that was an excuse that was readily offered by people that were involved.
Yeah, and I'm kind of picking up on that. I'll hit a little bit about the budget process. Let me just back up to that as well, and I'll kind of continue on with the accounting of the funds once they come in. Typically, in the beginning part of the winter, January, February, we have conversations. What are the priorities on campus for the following year? We do enrollment projections for the following year to look at revenue, and then we'll start building the budget and working with the treasurer, and even just doing informal budget presentations throughout the cycle. We'll start coming up with the preliminary budget. During that process, we actually do present the budget to the headmaster and the school leadership team and solicit input, as we did last year as well. I will just note, because again, we've had a number of claims to this effect. Last year we presented the headmaster. He had no input in it. He didn't have any changes that he brought to the table. So with that, we continued the budget process with no other additional impact from the campus level. And that budget came to the board and was adopted by the board. So that's how the budget process typically works. This year, with the establishment of the School Advisory Accountability Committee, which is an advisory committee to the headmaster, it's not a board committee. I understand Ms. Mognet wants to use that committee to help better inform her of what the needs and priorities of the school are. So if the school wants to roll out athletics next year or other types of programs, we're thankful that Ms. Mognet has prioritized having other parents at the table to help advise on that this next year. So just want to go back and talk about the typical budget process. As expenses come in during the month, as I talk about the funding, our school level people who are involved in purchasing and finance, they'll input invoices into a system called bill.com, which is an online kind of bill payment workflow system. Then those invoices and expenses that they come in are approved by either the headmaster under the current adopted board policies, financial policies, or if it's a certain level, it'll be by myself or Ms. Willis. Our books every month are reconciled by an independent third party. So we have separations of duties. They do all the reconciliations, verify the coding, and they prepare financial reports. When we receive the financial reports, there's actually two different packets. We receive a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement. The second packet contains details of all the transactions. It contains the bank account statements, the credit card statements, bill.com transactions. That is another packet that goes to me and the board treasurer for review before it comes to the board. Those packets are also included in the board books every month for you guys to be able to review as well. So just a quick overview, that's high level, how funds work, how the budget works, how we close out months with third party review and bring that back to the board. Any questions on that?
I have a quick question, Derek. You mentioned that Ms. Mognet is putting together or considering a committee to assist her in looking at what budgetary items we might have for next year. How is that committee selected, and is there a process that's written down for that committee selection or volunteering?
Yeah, so the outline of how that should work is what is in the charter proposal as well. Again, that is the headmaster's committee. So
Yep.
we are not prescriptive about how it operates. The headmaster has a lot of authority. We do have a couple
Yep.
of guidelines and suggestions on how it should work. Typically, we have 3 to 4 parents on that committee, and then we have teachers on that committee, and then we'll have a member of the community. In this case, my understanding is Mr. Getter is going to be a participant on that committee as a board member, community member. But the expectation on that is that the parents are the largest block of any stakeholder on that committee. They do elect a chairperson among themselves, and the chairperson is always one of the parents.
Okay.
So that's how it works. Kind of the charter, and again, the headmaster can use it however they want to, but they do advise on budget priorities. They can provide other just input on how things are going. We do an annual parent survey, and the accountability committee does actually provide input on the survey. What are some other questions that they think would be important for the school leadership to be aware of? And then they will actually review the data coming back out of the parent survey and compile that data and provide a report on the parent survey.
Great. Thank you. I'll take a look at that in the charter.
Yep.
Those will be great.
Great. So the other thing we wanted just to walk through with the board on again is the grievance process. Again, the grievance process is a policy. It's in the the parent handbook that's available on the school's website. Just for your reference, it's also in the board book for this meeting. It's policy SE 33.0. It's about 2 pages long, or page and a half. And basically what it says is that, again, I think we believe that relationships are important. If a parent has an issue or a concern, just at the classroom level, that we expect anything to be brought forward at the lowest level possible. So if a parent has an issue with their children or a teacher, the expectation is that concern is brought to the teacher and addressed there. We typically don't entertain classroom level things going directly to the headmaster or to my level or to the board, and we really expect them to be addressed in the classroom where 98% of things can be addressed. If there's something that can't be addressed, at the teacher, or it's a matter of discipline, again, the grievance process indicates that the parent should schedule a meeting with the headmaster or dean on the school, and that that process is expected to take about 3 days, just to address an issue that can't be handled at the teacher level. Beyond that, again, if it can't be resolved at that level, then we do expect parents to go to the headmaster, schedule a meeting with the headmaster, and the expectation again is that meeting would be available within 3 days. Really, just again at the school, we do expect a significant majority of any issue can be resolved at that level. If it can't be resolved, we have a process for a grievance to be appealed to Ascent Classical Academies, our staff. And there's an online form, and the school website does indicate how parents can file that. There's a button on the webpage that says file a grievance. It goes to an online form, and that process will review it with about 5 days of receipt and reach back out if there's any missing or relevant information to the grievance. Usually, if we do deem it to be something that we would review, again, if it's a classroom thing, if it's not a violation of policy or things of that nature, we typically will not get involved, and we'll uphold the school level decision. Like I said, unless there's a policy issue or a significant concern about student safety. Beyond that process, every parent coming out of that process does have the ability to continue appealing a grievance to the board. And that process, again, is when my staff hears a grievance. In the resolution, we just indicate if you aren't satisfied, you can appeal this to the board. Again, typically at the board level, it really is an issue of violation of policy that can't be, it hasn't been addressed. When it comes to the board, it typically goes to the board chair for an initial decision, and the board chair can make the decision to uphold the previous decision. The board chair can decide to appoint up to 2 board members, which is not a quorum, to address the issue. Just, in the event that there's not a board meeting available for a while, or if it just seems, or at his or her discretion. The expectation on that is it can take up to 15 days for that board committee. The board chair can also bring it to an open session of the board, which may be 30 days or the next board meeting if deemed appropriate. And again, if any issue involves a specific issue with a child, there is the option to bring that grievance review into an executive session in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act and open meetings requirements. So we do have a statement in there that in the unfortunate event that going through that process, if a grievance is not resolved to the satisfaction of a parent, just to consider that this being the best education option for them and their family. But at all times, we do expect the governing board will at all times uphold the best interests of the school, making sure that we remain compliant with the charter contracts and any parts of state law. Any questions on just kind of that quick overview of the grievance process? Well, it's not really quick. We went through the entire process, but again, given the number of new directors, just to make sure everybody has a chance to.
We're good. Thanks, Derek.
With that, I think we'll go into South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Again, this is also in the parent handbook. This is policy SE 45.0 in the parent handbook. And then we also have some additional guidance consistent with the policy and in coordination with the school's legal counsel. Again, I think you can go through and just read the policy itself. But again, anybody, records of the charter school are public records as a publicly funded entity. So we do have another part on our website that allows parents to make a open records request or Freedom of Information Act request. Those requests are logged and go into a form where we're tracked. We do have some guidance on the types of things that we ask parents to do. We do ask them to be specific. If you have a date range of something you're looking for, please provide that. Please provide specific terms. Anything that we can help narrow down the scope of the request. In the board book for this as well, there's actually a great handout that Mr. Getter just pointed out that's published by the South Carolina Press Association on FOIA for public officials. So I just ask you guys at your convenience to go through that as well, and we can answer any questions on that. And we have had, I think we heard public comment about some pretty extensive estimates that we've given parents, and we've, part of the FOIA law requires us to, we do charge to the extent that it's an extensive request or something that's going to take time, especially financial records and things of that nature. We do have a third party that maintains a lot of those records just because of separation of duties. So we do have an hourly contracted rate because a lot of these records are maintained by third-party contractors. So when a request comes in, we do look at the scope of it. The FOIA team, just kind of given some knowledge of what they think the scope is, makes a very well educated and good faith effort to estimate the cost to fulfill the request. That's done within 10 days, also determining if we're able to provide the record. Once that estimate of cost is made, we do require a 25% deposit to move forward with that request. I think what we've consulted with legal counsel on and just verified with the reading of the statutory language is while we do, once the request is fulfilled, we do provide an itemized accounting of how many hours it took, what was the rate of the people providing that, were there redactions, was there other counsel required. So we do provide a full specific accounting once the work is actually done. We don't provide that level of detail at the deposit phase. And I think the statutory language is clear that it's a total estimate of the reasonable cost, not a breakdown at that point. I just want to make sure it's clear because I think all of you have received correspondence kind of with a different interpretation of that. But again, that's consistent with the school's legal counsel as well.
Derek, just to be specific, this is Dennis Getter.
Yeah.
You know, I know that you try to, I'm going to the source document, which I call the State Freedom of Information Act, which is the Title 30, Chapter 4.
Yes, sir.
And of course, anything that you want to take out of there is fine, but this is the core document. And as I said, I pointed it out, it's right on the website with the state of South Carolina. But specifically what you're talking about, the fees and everything is on page 7, Part B. Is very specific. I will just state that there's that again. This is very clear, and we are following the law. And it's paragraph B on page 7, and everything you've said is consistent with this. And so I'll just say that your statements are positive and consistent.
Yep. Thanks, Mr. Getter.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, and I think that is 30, South Carolina Code 3430B, if anybody wants to go look at that language. But again, it does talk in the last sentence of that section about the deposits and the level of detail required for that. Kind of going into just a couple of the details and timelines that are important. So once we receive a deposit in the event one's requested, we do track the date. We actually receive that, those funds, and then once that deposit is made, for records that are within 2 years, we do have those prepared and available within 30 calendar days. At that point, once the work is done, we'll provide a final accounting of how long it took, present that, and once that's paid, we'll deliver records. So to date, out of all the requests that have been made, the ones that we've determined we need to charge for, we've actually only had one request that's actually paid the deposit out of all of them. To date, I understand that work has been completed and we've received the funds, so that the only records request that's actually been paid for at this point is going to be delivered in the next couple of days or the next day or two.
Derek, I'd just like to clarify one thing that might have been confusing. We have to live with our estimate. So if indeed it takes much more time to actually do the search and provide the documents, we eat anything that is over that estimate cost. So the person getting requesting the FOIA will get that good faith estimate, and but that is the total amount that we can charge, regardless of the time it takes.
Thanks, Dennis.
And again, I think just a couple other odds and ends here. The policy and state statute just, if the record's electronic, available electronically, we'll deliver electronically. There are a number of different exemptions in statute, like medical information, personnel files, student files. I think all members of the board have been required to produce like their driver's licenses. Details in your driver's license is exempt from FOIA requirements as well, and just general things of that nature. So again, that's all in the policy and in the parent handbook that's on the website. Again, we did out of the FOIA policy, we do have a FOIA guidance that does just provide some clarity that the deposit phase, we do not provide the cost breakdown, but that will be provided once the documents are made available. So, any questions or just conversation on any of the budget topic, the grievance process, or the Freedom of Information Act in South Carolina?
Thanks, Derek.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is reports, and we'll start off with Fort Mill campus report.
If there's that one, with Miss Mogden. Miss Mogden, you are.
Yeah,
Yep,
no,
here we go.
I have it. Can everyone hear me?
The floor is yours. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I kind of wrote a narrative, so I'm just going to read you what I wrote.
And Ms. Mogden, real quick before you start, I think you do have a written report that's in the board book as well for any directors, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I have it.
Got it. Okay.
So am I reading the narrative or the other thing?
Well, I just want to make sure everybody has the written report if you want to continue on with kind of your narrative and comments.
Okay, great. All right. So over the past several months, our focus at ACA4 Mill has been really restoring clarity, consistency, and daily experiences that families expect from a strong classical school. As you've seen in the written report, we did take an enrollment hit earlier in the year, and I refer the board to those details directly. What I want to emphasize today is the work underway to stabilize the school and the measurable goals we set forth for retention and enrollment moving forward. We're already seeing meaningful cultural and academic wins. We launched daily virtue notes to recognize students who demonstrate our core virtues, and these will flow directly into expanded quarterly and end-of-year student awards. Students are also showing renewed ownership of their school. Several recent initiatives, what may become a campus caretaker club, and our staff has been proactive in strengthening our academic systems. Administrators have completed CIE testing coordinator training and are partnering with other schools to align our assessments and instructional practices with state expectations. The retention and enrollment side, our goals are clear. We aim to retain at least 95% of our currently enrolled students and increase enrollment by approximately 46% by the end of the third quarter. Internally, we're pacing this work towards benchmarks of 20 students in December, 30 students in January, and 20 in February. I know that these are very ambitious goals, but they are grounded in the stability we are rebuilding with stronger instruction, consistent expectations, and a more predictable experience for the families. We are also addressing the SIS compliance concerns identified by CIE. Some corrections have already been completed, and we have received approval from CIE to extend the remaining deadline to December 5th. Our team is actively working through attendance updates tied to the leadership transition, as well as expanded state-regulated attendance coding changes. We're providing CIE with ongoing updates as each section is resolved. Our hiring is complete. We are very excited about that. Our kindergarten, 5th grade, and upper school math teacher are fully integrated, mission-aligned, and already improving the student's experience. In terms of certification, while 28% of our staff is currently meet the CSDE's strict definition, 67% are certified in other states for content areas and are actively transforming or expanding their certifications. Several others are pursuing alternative certifications, and we are expected to meet well above the 75% threshold in the coming months. We've also strengthened safety and security with guidance from a member of Homeland Security, updated classroom hardware, increased visible supervision, and support from Ms. Jordan Morrison, who brings FEMA Homeland Security training, another recommendation from our Homeland Security consultant. Despite discipline systems have been rebuilt as well. Instead of moving directly from a parent phone call to an out-of-school suspension, which was common practice before, we now use structural, developmentally appropriate steps that hold students accountable without unnecessarily instructional loss. Finally, our academic systems are more consistent and clearly monitored. Each week, We review lesson plan trackers, gradebook updates, and observation notes to ensure curriculum fidelity and strong instructional delivery. Communication through newsletters and the SAC engagement provides additional support to families and reinforces the structure of our community experts. All of this work is monitored weekly with our leadership team in the home office, and we will continue to provide the board with regular updates. With these systems in place and aligned toward clear goals, we are confident in the trajectory ahead and in the consistent mission-driven experience we are rebuilding to families and students.
Thank you, Mrs. Magnet. Any questions or comments from the board members?
Excellent
Ms.
work.
Magnet,
Thanks,
it's.
Getter.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Go ahead.
Excellent work. Thank you for all your dedication. And, rather than talking, we're letting performance do our talking, and that's the best way of all. So thank you.
Mr. Getter, I just want to, it's Derek Schuler. Hey, I just want to recognize, I appreciate that Mr. Getter actually came out to the staff meeting last week. And Mr. Getter, would you be willing to offer any observations or feedback from your visit?
Well, I think I don't have to say anything because I think the three teachers that gave public comment said it all. We know we had issues. I think we've got them identified, and we're either solved the problem or working on solutions. Right now, we have a good product to offer, fully staffed. I like to say teachers either certified or pending, and we're getting, use the word, the paperwork in place at the school level, which is important for Erskine. And also important for Erskine is us getting our board level policies documented. And of course, everything in the end will be on the website. So full disclosure is just the way we're going to operate. And indeed, we're going to, and as rightly so, these parents, I can understand the frustration. I've been looking at our website somewhat, and as an insider, somewhat being confused. So I can appreciate their concerns. But I think the first important thing we did was get the school operating, and that's happening now, and did it fast with Ms. Magnet. And number two, though, the board is moving fast to get all these deficiencies clarified here well before the end of the year. So all I can say is one word: positive, and keep going.
Thanks, Dennis. Mary Frances, you had a comment.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I won't pile on with all of the wonderful thoughts that the teacher shared and your comments, Dennis, and thank you for being on site. I had just one question. I love this idea of the weekly tours for prospective parents. Ms. Magnet, are you getting any purchase there? Are people attending those? What does that look like?
It's hit or miss. So some weeks they're full, and other weeks they're not. Or they sign up and they don't come. So it's a matter of, I think it's time. I think in January it's going to pick up, right? Because December's hard.
Yeah. Okay, good. I like that. I like the things that you're doing, obviously, on the retention side, but the enrollment side too. And that kind of outreach, I think, is important. So thanks for emphasizing both of those sides of this equation. Thanks for all you're doing, and the team.
Mr. Chair, this is Mark Schuler. I've been filling in for a math teacher. I'm now in week 6. So we spent 5 weeks supporting 6th grade math, pre-algebra, algebra, and geometry. And in that, I got to spend a lot of time talking to faculty. And one of the key comments I picked up from lower school was that the children are thriving, and that the parent and that the teachers feel like they've got the support that they need, that they weren't getting. They were getting the oversight and coaching that they had not been getting. And I think we are in a very positive situation with the staffing. We've got, as far as I know, all of the teachers that have been brought in are not newbies. They've been teaching for years. Our math teacher, I think, has been teaching over 20 years. And she has great classroom management skills and good command of the math she's teaching. So I'm pretty excited about not having to substitute anymore and having having highly qualified teachers in place. So I think
Thank you.
Ms. Magnet has done a great job, and I think the faculty is pulling together. They feel like a family when you sit in their their professional development days. They feel like a family, and that's exactly where we need a team of instructors to be.
Thank you, Mr. Schuler. Anyone else? Okay, next item on the list is Executive Director report.
Yeah, it's just kind of a few things on that front. First, again, I just want to recognize and thank Ms. Mognet and the leadership team there. I think they kind of inherited a lot and uncovered a lot of things that we need to be changing gears on. I think we've heard comments about discipline and just being more intentional about that and just developing some more processes around that's been really helpful. Implementing the curriculum, there were some big gaps in what we expect to have been delivered and what was actually going on. So I just appreciate a focus on that and developing and supporting the teachers to be able to do that well. So again, just want to thank that entire team. Another note for the board, I just want to let our board know, I think everybody's known Amy Willis is our Director of Marketing and Communications. I think I just want to recognize her. Ms. Willis is moving up to the Director of Operations position. So she's, just want to congratulate her for that role. What that does, that puts her in a lot closer touch, working directly with the school and the campus and helping Ms. Mogden and her team just be successful. And just really thankful to have her moving into that new role. As we've kind of gone through this process as well, talking with board members and especially Mr. Getter, we've been looking at what types of information can we get pushed out to the website just to make it proactively available to families, because we've looked at different FOIA requests coming in. We've been trying to evaluate, well, we should just put that on the website and make it more accessible. So we're continuing to look at content to get out, get pushed out. If you guys have any other ideas or suggestions, I invite you guys just to reach out to us and just let us know if you have any other thoughts of things that we can be putting out there for the community. I think the big thing that's extremely important to all of us is what is just the enrollment going to do to our budget getting through the year. I think I appreciate, again, just Ms. Mogden and their campus leadership team coming up with a very aggressive plan to increase enrollment. It's very ambitious, and we're dedicated to ensure their success on that. I think with that, at the same time, we've got to be prudent on how does the school operate. So we have been working on just a contingency budget based on where our enrollment is today, and then just taking that assumption of, let's say we don't add any kids between now and the last count date for this year, which is in mid-March. So we're trying to look at that and what do we think realistically our funding is going to be for the year. Just because of some complications, I think we finally have gotten a good hold on the revenue side of that, and because it's really a blended formula. So we have been working with the team to come up with the revenue number. I think everybody's well aware that the school team has also been extremely busy getting things turned around. I think Mr. Dillon and I can appreciate just some pilot lingo that they're flying the plane, aviating. So I think they've been very focused on that. I think next year, next week with the Thanksgiving holiday, we're meeting with the school level team to start really diving into the expense side of that equation and look at how do we go through the expenses to make sure it meets the revenue. So that's something, an exercise that we're continuing to do, and we'll be presenting back to the board as soon as we're able. And then Dennis and I had a conversation today, and we'll continue working with the board chair. And I think Mr. Getter, actually, we like you as we're kind of getting different milestones along the way, just have you involved and just being available as a resource to let you know how we're coming in that process and how we're prioritizing things. with that, any kind of initial questions? I think again we're right now we've done some calculations. I think the trick is the school needs to end the year with money in the bank, whether that's ending the year with net positive income, which frankly is very difficult given the enrollment and the just where we are with the level of service we're providing. We can also look at loans and lines of credit available as well. I think Ascent Classical Academies, my organization, we have been keeping. We have actually put about $250,000 into the school's bank account right now. So right now the school does have an interest-free loan that we have in the school because again, I think we are committed to the success of Ascent Classical Academies in South Carolina, and we're doing what we can to keep things in a positive direction. So again, it's a exercise in progress. I think it's also a very quick exercise. I think Mr. Dillon and I had a conversation with the Erskine team. I think we all recognize the importance of this. We do take it seriously, and we're actively working that plan to bring back to the team.
Thanks, Derek. Any questions or comments for the executive director?
No, but I'd just like to amplify a couple of things. This is Dennis Getter. We all know that the budget is paramount here, and success of the school has got to be a financial success as well as the academic success. It looks like we've got the academic on the right road. Now we got to make sure we got the finances, and we're very much paying very close attention to that. And I think Mike Sinclair and Erskine is really giving us a lot of help on this area. We kind of know where we are, but they're telling us specifically. And indeed, I think we've got a good, we've really strengthened our partnership with them. And that's another positive. So I'm using the word positive a lot here tonight, but that's there. Just to address the other thing that, it makes us throttle having a temporary location in Rock Hill, wanting to be in Fort Mill, and the constant asking of, do we have permanent quarters? The answer to that is no, but we are not letting any stone be unturned right now. And I've been working on this personally for many months. We've got a good professional real estate guy fully turned on now. We're working with what I might call, we look for the inner circle of area that we want to be. If we can't find anything, we're going to enlarge that circle a little bit. But we understand that right now we're in no man's land in a sense, and really having a permanent location would take a lot of pressure off and give us the ability to plan for facilities and student enrollment and a lot of other things that we can't do in this temporary quarters. So for those parents that say, why don't you have a permanent location? I'm just going to say it is hard, and hard doesn't mean it won't be done. It's just taking a little longer. So we're committed to have a very successful school, and location to be determined, but we're working on that diligently.
Thank you, Mr. Getter. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, next item is auditor's report. I think the finance chair, Mr. Getter, you have that one?
Yes, I do, and I'm putting on my glasses. So we had an audit performed by Martin and Smith and Company CPAs, independent auditors. This audit is posted on our website already. And probably the most salient paragraph in the audit for just the 10,000 foot level is the second paragraph on the first page. And that's the opinion that says that basically the materials are presented, in their opinion, favorably, or pardon me, respectively, of the financial position as stated is what they have determined to be truthful. And they are giving us a clean bill of health on our audit, and which means a clean bill of health on the operation of the school for the first year. And indeed, this is basically what you always expect. So we got what we expected because we want to run a clean ship. So there's a lot more, obviously, details and many, many pages that anybody can read if they want to get into the details. But that's the top line that you look at. And if there's a page describing what's wrong, then you know you have issues. So the fact that we got a clean report tells us, okay, we got one less worry. Now let's work on everything else. That's the end of my report, sir.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. I just have a couple items for the audience writ large. First, I'd like to say, I believe he's in attendance tonight, Dr. Bill Roach from the Charter Institute of Erskine. He's the deputy superintendent. So if you're out there, Dr. Roach, thanks for attending tonight. Secondly, I'd be remiss if I didn't, with the rest of my fellow board members and executive director and Ms. Magnet, just say thanks to all the parents, faculty, and stakeholders and the Erskine team for their contributions and their professionalism as well as patience. And then the last item is just we do have, as several of the members have mentioned, we have a lot of ongoing dialogue, and it's very good and productive dialogue with the Charter Institute at Erskine, and so that will continue. And with that concludes the chairman's report. The next item on the agenda, we have several items, contract negotiation, real estate, and legal advice to talk about in an executive session. So at this point, we're going to go into executive session. The board may enter executive session as allowed under South Carolina Code 30-4-70A2 to discuss contract negotiations, real estate, and receive legal advice. So enter a motion to go into executive session. Can I get a second?
Second, Dennis Getter.
Thanks, Dennis. Okay. Caleb Green.
Yes.
Brendan Kelly.
Yes.
Dennis Getter.
Yes.
Mary Frances Bolger.
Yes.
Michael Murphy.
Yes.
Mark Schuler.
Yes.
And Mark Dillon, yes. Okay, I guess we'll leave this open, this link open, and then we're going to jump over to a separate link, and then we'll come back to finish up remaining business. Thank you all. Okay. While we're waiting for Tyler to join us, I've asked Derek and we've asked Tyler to review a whole bunch of documentation, articles of corporation, bylaws, charter application, other applicable documents to advise us on next steps based on our non-compliance and corrective action plan. So I think that'll be item one to discuss with Tyler.
Before he comes on, I can just ask Derek. Derek, you there?
Yes.
Okay. Here, I'd like you just to get me grounded here. And I'm going to ask some specific questions. Okay, so Ascent Classical Academy, is that a corporate name that ends in LLC or incorporated or anything?
But,
on your state?
Yeah, it's a Colorado nonprofit corporation. Ascent Classical Academies, Oral, is a Colorado nonprofit corporation.
Ascent Classical Academies. No.
Please interrupt very quickly. I'm so sorry. I think it's possible a couple people have left your microphone on in the Zoom session. If you want to just double check for anybody who stayed on, I just want to make sure we adhere